How do you generate realistic images using AI, especially for personal branding, where you want to demonstrate a professional look, you want consistency in your brand image, but it's become very difficult with AI because the main problem has been that you create an image and then you try to do it again and it creates a completely different image. So brand consistency is hard. Sometimes the image has certain defects that are obvious, like seven fingers, etc. So it's been very hard to use AI to generate images for personal branding purposes, whether you want to use it for your LinkedIn posts or marketing materials, or even guides that you're creating for clients or for prospecting, that you want to put some images in of yourself, and you're not able to do that with AI because the technology is not there. Well, guess what? The game has changed. There is a new tool called Flux LoRA, and it is revolutionizing how we create images for personal branding. I'm really excited about this. So, this video, I'm going to walk you through how to generate realistic personal branding images with AI. Now, before I get there, at the end, still to the end of the video, because there is an elephant in the room that I want to address, but I don't want to do it at the beginning. I want to show you the technology, and then I'm going to address the elephant in the room at the end. So let's jump right in. So this is about generating realistic personal brand images with AI. And the biggest opportunity, in my opinion, for personal branding is AI. If you are not leveraging AI to grow your personal brand, you are going to be left behind because there's so many tools out there that will save you time, 10x or more your visibility, and also help you deliver more value to your clients. So it is a no-brainer. But if we're focused on this particular presentation, the who is entrepreneurs and executives looking to grow their business, secure elite clients, elite opportunities. You want to be a speaker, you want to be, on elite podcasts, you want to do a TED talk, you want to, become a consultant. You're building your brand and thought leadership because you want to tap into these opportunities and leverage it for these opportunities. But one of the problem has been, when you post content, especially on LinkedIn, if you don't put an image in it, it's very hard to get traction unless you're putting video on it. If you just post text, you put text content on LinkedIn, it's very hard to get engagement. Once you put an image of yourself, engagement goes right up. The problem has been that, you have to be taking selfies, you have to be taking photos, you have to even go on a photo shoot, and we don't have time for that. And so sometimes as entrepreneurs or busy executives, we will take a selfie, we'll take a photo, and we then get into our head about it because we know it's not up to the standard we want to portray. It's not up to the brand consistency that we want to put out there. And so just taking a selfie and posting it, sometimes we hesitate, and for good reasons. Because if you want to build a standout personal brand, you want to put out quality, professional, consistent imagery that shows how you want to show up to your audience, to your prospects. And so that has been the pain point. Well, LoRA enables you to fix that. You're able to create consistent visual images, as I'm about to show you, to be able to overcome that you can leverage for your post online, for your marketing materials, etc., etc. So let's jump right into it. So the purpose of this video is to walk you through how to train LoRA on Flux using a particular tool or a particular platform called Fal.ai. And after the training, I'm going to show you then how to play around with it. Now that you've trained the model, how do you then generate images out of that? That's the most exciting part that I can't wait to show you. Now, I don't know when you'll be watching this video, but AI is moving so fast that these platforms are also moving so fast that I may record this video today and then you watch it next week and you go to fal.com or fal.ai and the interface has changed. Be patient with it. Everything is there. It's probably moved around. It's probably improved. So depending on when you watch this video, just go there and be curious and be patient, and you'll find everything you need to move forward. So the first step in this process, it's a 7-step process, is to register an account on fal.ai. Now, there are other platforms that allow you to do this, but for me to train LoRA on Flux. But for me, their platform, Fal.ai, is the most user-friendly that I've found. And so that is what I'm sticking with, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, when you go to register the account, there's only two ways. They don't let you use Google account. You can either use GitHub or you can do single sign-on. So a lot of us are probably going to do the GitHub option. So once you sign up for a GitHub account, it's very easy. GitHub is widely used, so it's very easy to sign up the account on there. And then once you sign up, you can then come back and log in to your Fal.ai account. So here is what the page looks like when you sign on, and then boom, here's what the dashboard looks like. Now, what I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to probably minimize myself so that you can see the full screen. And so what you're seeing is the dashboard. The first thing I want you to do is add credits to your account. Now, this is not free because generating images takes computer power, but it is really cheap in my opinion. I mean, when you really train the model, it takes about $3-4 to train a model. And then to generate images out of the model, it's about 3.5 cents, I believe, per image. So it's relatively inexpensive. So you can get all this thing done, train the model, generate a bunch of images for under $10. So you click on billing, and you can put in $20. I'll suggest start with $20 and then get going. Now you can see I started with $30 and I've already spent $8 just having fun. So just put in $20 and then you're ready to go. Now, the second step is to locate the Flux LoRA training model. So there are two ways to do that. At the top of the Explore, so you're going to click on Explore, and then once you click on Explore, it's going to bring you to a page like this, and you can click on Training where the arrow is pointing, and you can identify the Flux Fast Training model. Or you can scroll down a little bit on the left-hand side of your screen, and you also see the training tab. If you check that, it will show you the training modules that they have on the platform. And one of them is the Flux LoRA Fast Training model. So click on that, and then we move on to the next step. So here is where everything gets exciting. As you can see, I have my money in there. I have $27. I've already trained a model, but I'm going to walk you through how I train a new model. So the first step is to prepare your data and to put in your trigger word. I'm going to walk you through that. So let's start with preparing your images. So you have to prepare your images because you need about, in my opinion, about 30 to 45 images to really train a good model. And so you're going to go through your phone and see all the images you've taken maybe the last 2 years and pick about 30 to 40 in different scenarios. So you don't want to pick just selfies. You want to pick some with yourself, full body, half body, different light settings, but you want to pick high resolution images. That's really, really, really important. And if there is a particular, thing that you do in terms of your work that you are in settings a lot and you take pictures in those settings, you want to include those kind of pictures. And I'll explain what that means when I show you my images. So here are the images that I used to train the second module. I just went through my phone over the last year and a half, and I picked images in different scenarios. And then at the bottom, you're going to see that I actually came to the office where I'm sitting right now, and I took pictures of myself in different angles because I want the AI to be able to recognize my face from different angles and different positions. So that is important. I would suggest you do that. In addition to all the selfies and images and everything you're going to pull from your phone, I think you should take time to just have somebody take pictures of you, or if you have a tripod, which is what I did, set the timer and take pictures of yourself facing different directions so that the AI knows what you look like, can take a good guess at your height and your body shape. And also, for me, I have a very unique head. So I needed to know that that's how my head is, So I I wanted you to see the flat thing on the back. I wanted the AI to capture all that. So that is how you prepare the images. Now, some people will tell you you have to name the images in particular ways. I did that for my first training, the training module that I did, the first one. I put in, Kwame Kwade 001 all the way to, 40. The second module, I didn't do that. And because I learned that it doesn't really make a difference. So I just took all the images and then zipped it and used it. So the key point here is pick images from various places. You can see I have mostly selfies, but I have some that are full body. I have some that I'm talking. And here's something I did that I think you should also consider if you don't have images about your profession or you in professional settings. One of the things I'm doing is podcasting. So I want AI to see me on my podcast and how how I act. Most of the time I am in my office creating content. So this bookshelf is in the background. I wanted to get used to that. And then I'm a speaker. I don't have images. I couldn't find speaking images. I have a few of them. I couldn't locate them. So I came to the office. I put on my jacket. I had a microphone and I mimicked me speaking in gestures so that, and I'm at different angles looking so that the AI will capture all that. And so that is me being intentional about putting AI in the kind of professional settings that I'm going to be in so that it can train on that also. Is that important? In my opinion, yes, because when you ping it to bring images of you, one of the images I'm about to show you, it was able to replicate a good version of the bookshelf behind me because I had trained with it. So that is very important. So now you get your 30 to 40 images and then you zip them. You have to put them in a zip file, and then you're going to upload it in the places that I've shown the arrow. So it says pick a zip file, you're going to upload it there, and then you're going to insert a trigger word. Now, here is something I want to tell you about trigger words. The trigger word is what is calling your information from the module. So let me explain how this whole thing works. So Flux is the module, is the open source base module that we're using. LoRa LoRA is a particular framework that allows you to insert certain data sets into the big module and without having to train the entire module again. So this is like a new computing methodology that they've developed with AI, where rather than you training an entire model, you take an existing model and insert a unique data set into it. In this case, your pictures, so that the AI then knows you. And so when you want to create an image, you need a trigger word that tells it to go and reference your data set as a reference point to create this image. So if you are choosing a trigger word, you want to choose something that is not already out there that AI has trained on. So I did something like, I think my second one was Kwame Rising 2025, hashtag $, exclamation point. I want it to be unique enough that the AI can only associate that trigger word with my set of photos. So you don't want to say John Wayne, because John Wayne, there's a gazillion John Waynes out there that AI probably has been trained on in the mass data that AI has been trained on. So you want to be really, really specific. So put in some characters, make it hard so that AI will associate that particular word with you. So here you're going to upload your zip file. You are going to input your trigger word, and then you're off to the races. Those are the two things you are going to do. You can see I have $27. I'm ready to go. Next, you are going to click on more. There's more steps to take. So if you look on this page and at the bottom, there's a particular drop-down menu and it says more. You click on that, and then I want you to change the steps to 2,000. I think it's already 1,000. Change it to 2,000. What are steps? It's the computing word for the number of steps that LoRa has to train on. And in my experience and in my research, 2,000 is the ideal place to put it so that you will get the best result. So just do that. I am not a computer science guy. I am not a programmer. I'm just telling you what I have learned from my research and what works. So don't ask me questions about that. What I'm here to do is to give you the best practices that I have learned so that I can shorten your learning curve so that you can get to where you're going fast. So change that to 2000 and then click start. And now once you click start, we're off to the races. The module is about to run. You're about to train your LoRA on Flux. Once you click on that, it's going to say in progress. You're going to see in progress in that training history section. And it's going to take about 20 minutes. So go get a coffee, go do something, wait for it to run, keep the thing open, wait for it to run. And then after 20 minutes, you come back, it's going to say completed. You can see I did another module already. It says completed there. So that's how you know. So how do you know it's completed? It was going to say completed like I've shown you in that. So my new module has been trained. It has a unique key. If you look at the training history, it has a unique key, a unique set of data points. That is your unique set of reference in the big data. And it will call that with your trigger word. So I hope I'm explaining that clearly. So now that it's completed, now we're about to test it. So to test your model that has been completed, you're going to click on run inference. That's important. No, so remember, we were on the Flux LoRA fast training model. Now we're going to move to a different model to test it, but you have to click on run inference from your training history because you are telling it to run inference on that training module. So you click on run inference, and then now you can see we've moved to a different module called Flux LoRA. So we move from Flux LoRA fast training to Flux LoRA. This may all change, but you get the point. Flux LoRA is the base module. So as you can see, when I click run inference, it has automatically put my trigger word before in the prompt section. That is important. So any prompts that you're going to write that is going to need to create image of you based on what you trained, it has to have the trigger word in it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And the reason why you need to click on run inference is that now you see that if you go to, it has really put in the path, which means that it's telling it to go to that data set in the module and it is associated with your trigger word. So now that those two things are set, now we're going to now create a prompt to begin testing our module. So drum roll, please, because this was kind of nerve-wracking. I've done it twice, and it's still there's this feeling where like you've downloaded your photos into this black hole, and you're trusting that what is going to come out is really what you're expecting. So you're anxious, you're nervous. You want AI to get it right because this is a revolutionary thing where like this is the future we're getting into, and you want to get it right so that you can play around with it. So for me, the first module, the first image that I created out of this, I was really nervous because I've watched some people do it and then it completely comes out because they did something wrong. So I wanted to get it right. So let's go. So this is the first picture that came out, and I was really, really happy because of a couple of things. Number one, it looks like me. There is a little bit of plasticity to it, but that I can adjust. The main point is that I want the image to come out to look like me. Like somebody should look at that and say, that is Kwame. That is what I wanted, and that's exactly what happened. So it means that the data that I have trained it with was good and worked. And so now the biggest hurdle has been accomplished, and now we can have more fun with it. So here I just gave it a little prompt with my trigger word, of me in a forest with fall foliage. So very, very simple prompt. And this is what it came with. So now we are going to play around. Now, there's a lot of settings that you can play around with. There is the scale, there is the number of inference steps, and so there's 3 different levels you can adjust. So now I'm going to show you how those things help you get, because now there is no right settings for anybody. If somebody's telling you there's a particular setting you have to set it on, they're wrong. It's going to be different for you, for the data sets that you put in, for your skin tone. There's so many things going on that you just don't know what's gonna, so you have to train it and adjust for yourself. And what I've found is that even when you adjust it and get it right for one image, you try to use the same settings for the next image, it may or may not work. You may adjust it a little bit. But the exciting thing is that, think about it, is like your own photo shoot. And as a photographer, you're taking multiple shots and you're looking at the output, and you don't like it, you take more. And so this is a whole process you have to get into your mind, that it's just not going to be click the button and you get a photo. Maybe we'll get there soon, but right now you have to play around with it, take it as a photo shoot opportunity, and just play around with the settings and see what comes up, and change one variable at a time. Move it further, move it back, move in the middle, see what happens, and then hold that variable constant, and then change the next one, and then the third one. So as I mentioned, this is where the fun begins. Now you are about to really take the model for a ride. You've tested it, you have your base model. Now let's go. You have a baseline. So now let's go play with it. So this is the first one I created. I put some detailed prompts in there, and I created it of me sitting on the couch with jeans, and I gave it a lot of details about the environment, and it created that image. And decent, not exactly perfect, but I adjusted a few things. The number of inferences, I put it all the way to 50. I kept the scale to 1. I never really adjust the scale. That's one thing I'll tell you. I just keep it at 1 because I've played around with that and it gives a lot of funky responses. So I keep the scale at 1. I adjust the number of inferences, and then adjust the guidance scale. And you play around with those 2 variables and it will give you different results. But your prompt is also important. What I've realized is that prompting in this case is so critical. You have to be detailed in providing a lot of things about you, what you're wearing, how you're looking, and then the environment you're in, what you're surrounded by, what the atmosphere looks like, what the lighting looks like. You have to put all that in. So I've created a framework, a prompting framework called SPACE. SPACE. It's an acronym, stands for different things, and it's the best way to prompt, especially for images and video. And so I am going to be releasing that soon. Stay tuned. And it's going to help you. You're going to get it. Once you learn SPACE, you're going to know what to do very quickly. But if you need help, there are ChatGPT, Flux prompters out there where you can just put in, the idea you want, and then it's going to give you a variety of prompts for you to test based on the idea you gave it. So here I said a close-up photo of, my trigger word in a forest with fall foliage and colors. It wasn't necessary to put my trigger word in ChatGPT because it doesn't know what that is, but I was being lazy, so I put it there anyway. So a close, because that was the prompt I used for the previous image, the first one. So a close-up photo in a forest, or you can say a close-up photo of a man in a forest with fall foliage and colors. And then it will give you all this prompts. So I took one of them, autumn glow and tranquility, and then I tested it, and then it gave me that. So there, I kept the scale at 1. I kept the inference at 50, and then I kept the scale at the CFG at 3.5. So now we're getting somewhere. It's still shiny, but it looks like me. Everything there looks like me. So we're getting somewhere. And then I took another prompt, and then I took the same prompt and I adjusted, the number of inference steps. I put it, I think, 38, and I kept the CFG at the same 3.5. I kept the scale at 1. I don't mess with the scale so far. And as you can see, I'm also telling you how much it's costing me. It's costing me 3.5 cents per image. So not that bad. So you can play around. You can, and it's telling you can run the same prompt 29 times and it's going to cost you $1. So if you just want to be playing around with the same thing, it's not that expensive. And think about it, we're talking about photo shoot. I mean, it's worth it. So here is the second one. And then now I'm beginning to play around. I played around with the CFG a little bit, and I moved it to 12.5. And I think the image went a little more in the opposite direction than I wanted it. So I realized that the CFG was not the place to play around for this particular prompt. So for me, everything is dependent on the number of inference steps. So I moved that a little bit. I put the CFG back to where it was, 3.5. I changed the inference. I moved that a little bit down. And then I started seeing some hope. I said, okay, 28, I believe it was. Now it's looking interesting. So what can I do again to move it forward, to really, really push it forward? And so I played around with the scale a little bit to 1.1, and I didn't think it made a big difference. So remember, I'm changing one variable at a time. And so everything held constant from the previous one. And now I changed the scale to 1.1, and, nothing really happened. So I said, okay, move on. And now I went back and changed the steps to 32. And then I started seeing, okay, things are beginning to look interesting now. Now it's getting closer and closer to me. This particular image, I can say, looks realistic. I mean, a little bit shiny, but looks realistic of like, okay, I can see it. I can work with that. This is something I can post on a LinkedIn post and be happy with it because it's a good reflection of me, my persona, my vibe, my style. So yes, I'm going to use it. And so now it's time to have more fun. So I moved the scale to 1.2. I kept I moved this a little bit to 35. Now I'm going crazy. I got this image that genuinely looks like me. And so, but now I can update you on the money situation. We started with $27 and now we are $22 and change. And I've done all these things already and I've learned so much. I've trained a module, I've played around with it, and I still have spent about $5. So this is a relatively inexpensive way to really train a model on your data set, and then you can start getting consistent imagery. So having more fun. So now I take a different prompt and I am now using my settings that have worked for me, which is keeping the scale at 1. The number of inference steps is at 32. And then I moved the CFG a little bit to 5 to see what happens, because I feel like, the scales is where it needs to be. The CFG is where it needs to be. And then now I'm like, okay, let me see what happens. Sorry, the number of inference steps is where it needs to be. Let me see what happens with the CFG. I changed that and to 5. This what is interesting is that you can see the prompt was so detailed that you can see the outside and it feels realistic, like I'm in an office building and there's other buildings near me. And here I introduced something called negative prompt. If you look closely to the prompt, I introduced negative prompt to tell it things that I don't want in my photo. I didn't want a messy office, and so I put all that there to let it know that this is something it needs to pay attention to. This is the best image that I got out of this whole session. And I posted this on social media because it was a culmination of like all the work that I've done. And now you can see, look at the back. This is my bookcase, and it looks pretty realistic, So I put in a prompt and I was able to be very descriptive and very detailed and use the settings that I had already adjusted and gotten to. And this is where I ended up with an image that I think was the best for that particular day that I was working with this. So I was very happy with it. I was really excited. I posted it everywhere because I felt like this is important to know. You have to be patient, you have to be curious, you have to play around with it. You cannot get frustrated because once you put in good data, your images that you start with, and you train a good model, you can have a lot of fun and do a lot of good things with it in terms of creating realistic images. Here are the other images that I created since then. And you can see, I mean, these are pretty darn good. You know, the only thing is the image on the left hand side. I have a rather flat head, at the back. It kind of rounded it a little bit, but it's not too bad. But the other ones look pretty good. I mean, the one with the American flag behind it, yeah, you can see that you have the flag back there. So that is pretty good. And it gave me some interesting, I was able to play around with colors of suits and jackets and all that. And it's really, really a photo shoot that you're playing around with. So this is what I've been able to create since then, and it's only going to get better and better and better as I learn more about how to fine tune it, and also as I learn more how to prompt, better. And so, as I said, I'm working on a whole prompt guide to show you how to easily write prompts that get you quality photos out of Flux LoRA. So, what are the other ways that I can help you now that you know how to do this? I know, like, it's like drinking from a fire hose if you're not really familiar with this environment and you may feel overwhelmed. I can help you there. This is this is the business I'm in, personal branding for entrepreneurs and executives. And so I've put together a 90-minute program. I feel like 90 minutes is the maximum time, people's attention span can hold when you come to workshops. So I've put together a 90-minute workshop program. I can do one-on-one with you, or I also do it for small groups. I already run a LinkedIn masterclass on how to grow your business on LinkedIn for small groups. I've done it for some EO forums. I've done it for some EO accelerator groups. I'm about to do it for an EO chapter. And so that's 90 minutes online. So this, I can do generating realistic personal branding images with AI. I can do a 90-minute workshop online for small groups. Either you're a chapter, you're a forum, you're accelerator, or you're a business leadership group that want to train your senior leadership team so that they can leverage AI for personal branding that benefits your business. Or you have a marketing team that you want them to leverage this to be able to promote your senior leadership team or promote you, the entrepreneur, the owner of the business, the founder, to put you out there. This is an opportunity. I can do a 90-minute session for your group. I also do breakout sessions for conferences where they need, workshops on really cutting edge topics. This is one of them. And then I have a half day AI for personal branding masterclass, which is a combination of a lot of different workshops that I have that I've put together into a half day. One of them is how do you refine your personal brand? So I have a whole framework of from value, from vision to value. How do you go from idea to a stand-up personal brand? I put you through that whole framework, and then how to create content with AI. And then I have a proprietary system called the content multiplier system that helps you take, one video, usually a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video. I've created 20-minute video that I've repurposed to a whole month of worth of content, and I offer it as a done for you service for clients. So I will take you through how I do that. And then LinkedIn training, how to master the platform. There's so many tools, LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn newsletter, LinkedIn audio events, all these tools that are there that people are not using. I'll teach you that. And then finally, what we learned today, how to generate realistic images with AI, including my prompt framework, my space prompt framework that can help you master that. So these are all the ways I can help you. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to give you information at the end on how to get in touch with me. But let's address the elephant in the room. I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, and I want to address this. So a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, we've built our business, executives, we've built our reputation, our company, we've risen up the corporate ladder, and our reputation is important to us. I get it. And so when we look at something like AI generated images, we are hesitant. But here's the thing. Guys, this is the future. This is not going anywhere. It's going to get even more sophisticated, and it's going to get more exciting. And very soon, it will be the norm. There's not going to be a difference between what we call real photos and fake photos, because it's kind of like, but here's the mindset shift that I want you to go on. We already live in a curated world when it comes to personal branding. Your professional headshots, your photographer just doesn't take a picture and send it to you. They touch it up, they clean it up to make sure they give you the best look. How is that different from what we're doing right now? You know, when you go for a photo shoot, they don't take the raw footage and then just send it to you. Sometimes they take a whole week. What are they doing for a whole week? They're cleaning it up, they're touching it up, so that when they send you the photos, it will be the best representation of you. We have Instagram filters we use now very commonly. So we are used to a curated experience online. And so AI is just a more efficient way to do your brand storytelling. Now, what do I think? Well, my perspective on all this, since I am working with clients on this and trying to get them to make the shift and embrace this shift, is that rather than looking at it from a fake and a real perspective, look at it from effective and ineffective communication. If you post content on LinkedIn, you post a text post, you've poured your heart out on text posts, and nobody engages with it, that's ineffective communication. But what if you could create an AI image? Maybe you went on a vacation and you learned some, or something, or you had a dream about something, or you had an epiphany on your walk and you forgot to take a photo or something. And so now you can go to AI and create a realistic image of you taking a walk and then post that content. You are going to reach your audience in a much, much more effective way. Because here is the thing, your audience is not going to care whether you took that photo with DSLR or whether it's AI generated. They're going to care about the value you're trying to provide to them and how they can benefit from your expertise. So I want you to start thinking about this as an opportunity to really reach your audience in a way that makes them pay attention to your content, because you want to communicate effectively with them. And part of the ways of communicating effectively today is imagery, visuals. And so rather than going without it, rather that you go with an AI generated image that is consistent with your brand, that is realistic looking, that looks professional, and Flux LoRA is the way to do that. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. And if you want to reach out to me to work with me or learn more about my services, go to my LinkedIn profile, Kwame Kwade. You can claim a strategy session, and we can talk for free. I'm happy to just brainstorm with you and see what you're trying to accomplish and how I can help you. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. Give me any feedback you have. Happy to receive it. Thank you for watching.